Efficiency and Conservation Authority, NECA, and SDPI under its flagship initiative, that is Pakistan Industrial Decarbonization Program, PIDP. We are launching this report on EV ecosystem in Pakistan. Why this is important in current context, that Pakistan, I always say, is suffering from a 3E crisis, that is economy, energy, environment in one equation. On a crisis side, it is integrated. But on the planning side or on the solution side, we are working in silos, particularly when it comes to macro critical aspects of climate change. So what is the need of time? We need to join hands. We need to bring together these 3Es, made them part of the macroeconomic equation so that we can have a whole of society, whole of sector, long-term integrated solutions. We are here to discuss what are synergies, how we can collaborate, and how we can make this ecosystem work for Pakistan, not just for Pakistan, for the globe as well. Right now, Pakistan is under two programs of IMF. One is Extended Fund Facility, the traditional one, focusing on macroeconomic stability in Pakistan. And second, recently negotiated the Resilience Sustainability Facility, RSF, which is focusing on macro critical impacts of climate change, under which we got carbon levy in the form of carbon taxation. We got revenue neutral subsidy scheme for electric vehicles. We got public-private partnership for EV charging stations as well. So now it is part of macroeconomic planning as well. Again, my point on building an integrated ecosystem for Pakistan. Thirdly, Pakistan's power sector is facing problems. Historically, chronically, we are facing problems in our energy sector. So maybe EV could be one possible solution for power sector as well, where we can utilize the underutilized capacity. But again, there is a dilemma that if you are charging electric vehicles with fossil fuel-based power plants, where is the principle of climate justice and polluter pay principle? So we need to balance that out as well. Today's discussion would be a multidisciplinary, multidimensional sort of discussion. Just to introduce the Pakistan Industrial Decarbonization Program, it is a flagship program of SDPI, launched in 2024. It serves as national initiative to accelerate the transition of Pakistan's industrial sector towards low carbon, sustainable future, and it positioned at the forefront of climate action. PIDP target emission intensive industries with a particular focus on hard to abate sector and their linkage with the exporting industries as well. And when we talk about exporting industries, we all know that European Union is coming up with climate regulations in terms of CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. So CBAM would be playing a role in terms of defining export competitiveness of Pakistan and other countries as well. As a platform for knowledge exchange and capacity building, PIDP supports identification and implementation of scalable decarbonization solution. And all this we do under the umbrella of our network, that is Network for Clean Energy Transition. I always forget, NCET. With this, I thank you so much, and I invite Mr. Sabi Haider. Mr. Sabi Haider is the SMO at National Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority, NECA. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Khalid Sahab. Thank you so much for setting the stage for this important event. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. A very warm welcome to National Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority. I can see, people who have worked with us and now working in the policy advocacy stream of Pakistan. Zainab is over here. She has worked with NECA, and I would like to highlight that. First of all, I would like to thank the SDPI for reaching out to us to collaborate this study and as well as to launch this study also. I would also like to extend my gratitude towards the Engineering Development Board and all the public officials over here, the private sector, and as well as policy advocates, academicians, and students alike. I think that as Dr. Khalid has also, said that this is the right time that this policy insight has come. Policy advocacy is one of the major component to actually inform the policymakers about the challenges that are there in a certain sector and how and equip them actually with the evidence-based research to move forward to create policy alternatives. So for that, we appreciate SDPI work. Having said that, National Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority has particularly focused on promoting the energy efficiency and conservation in the transport sector. And one of a major priority action area under our NEC action plan was to, promote the EV integration in the country. Since the EV policy 2019, we have seen the results that, we could not achieve the results that were designed or perceived to be delivered. However, now as the government of Pakistan is gearing up towards, revolutionizing the EV sector, one of the two major policy initiatives that have been taken is the new energy vehicle policy, obviously. And the second is the electric vehicle charging infrastructure regulations that NECA has issued after a detailed consultation at a national level, at a federal and provincial level, and with the private sector also. So you see, right now on the front of the, the electric vehicle charging stations, we have been able to give licenses to more than 72 electric vehicle charging stations in the country. And obviously, the credit goes to the government of Pakistan, especially Ministry of Industries and Production and the EDB, that with the work starting at an advanced level on the NEV, it created a lot of demand for the electric vehicle charging infrastructure also in the country. We have seen a kind of a response that is quite encouraging, that the target set in the NEV policy to establish more than 3,000 EV charging stations in the country. I think that Pakistan will be pretty much comfortable to achieve those targets and yearly targets also. At the same time, studies like these are very important to actually steer the government response, inform us, and at the same time, fine-tuning the policy measures that are there. So for that, once again, we would like to extend thanks to SDPI, and I extend you a very warm welcome. And I hope that this will be a productive session, a dialogue also, and we'll take something which is beneficial to be working with, not only in the public sector, but also in the private sector also. With that, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sabi Saab. I would like to echo the words of Sabi's that Ministry of Industrial Production and Engineering Development Board, they have done a splendid job keeping it inclusive, the New Energy Vehicle Policy 2025. When I say the word inclusive, I really mean it, because we have seen the burnt of policies being made in silos, particularly for the energy sector. So yes, this New Energy Vehicle Policy that will strengthen not only Pakistan's climate commitment that we are going to commit in upcoming NDCs 3.0, but also for the macroeconomic planning and macroeconomic future of Pakistan as well. Just to give you a glimpse of what is planned for today's event, we'll be having a presentation by Ms. Saleha and Mr. Sarem on this report, and then I'll be joined by Dr. Sardar Mozam. He's the MD of National Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority, and Dr. Abid Qiyum Saleri, the Executive Director of SDPI. And then we have planned a very insightful discussion-oriented panel discussion as well, having experts like Salman Saab, Ahmed Sajil Saab, and Engineer Khuda Bakhsh Saab, who is the CEO of Engineering Development Board. With this, I invite Ms. Saleha Qureshi and Mr. Sarem for the presentation on mapping the EV ecosystem of Pakistan from policy to market adoption. Yep.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khalid, and thank you everyone for joining us. I am Saleha Qureshi, and I am leading a program on industrial decarbonization at STPI, where we are focusing on the hard-to-abate sectors, especially cement, steel, and textile. And right now, we're exploring the scoping that how the electric vehicle markets or the transport sector would work, because we have two policies right now. We have 2019 policy of EV and then 2021. So the difference between the two policies was, and we are figuring out here that why 2019 policy was not, working at the exponential level. So in 2019 policy, we have seen that will focus on 2- and 3-wheelers and also on the mass transit, but the government support and incentives were not enough that this fleet or this policy could be expedited or could be outreached to overall in the country. But right now at STPI, our purpose was to see how we can green the highways. And look into the perspective that what is the most economical, environmental, and feasible case for the Pakistani consumers, manufacturers, developers, financiers, and how EV ecosystem can be added in the Pakistani context as well. So we have done an extensive study. We started in January with a consultation with our stakeholders. So we started this journey, and we have a launch event right now. And me and my colleague Sarem Zia, who is a researcher on renewable energy, will be presenting some of the key findings of the study. And also, we are here to learn from all of you that what are your perspective, what are the challenges and opportunities that could be added in that and that could be addressed in a way. So our title of the study is Mapping the EV Ecosystem of Pakistan from Policy to Market Adoption. Next, please. Okay. So basically, in this study, we are going to see what is the global landscape, and then what are the global trends, what are global policies that encourage the EV in different countries, especially when we are talking about the Norway or China. What are the different incentives and policies that encourage the EV adoption, and what are the learnings for the Pakistan? So if you look into the Pakistan stats, the transport sector accounts for 79% of oil consumption in Pakistan, and it contributes nearly 24% of GHG emissions, which is a climate crisis right now. Under our nationally determined contributions 2021, we have two NDCs, 2016 and 2021. In 2021, we have targeted that we will reach 30% of EV by 2030. So it's an ambitious target. But right now we have we are waiting for the new NDCs upcoming by the next week and next month. So maybe we have a different target on that as well. So oil import bill is 23% year on year in early 2024, according to Economic Survey of Pakistan. And also due to the transport sector emissions, the air quality index is also deteriorating, and it's hazardous for the human health as well. So EVs are not just an environment, it's an economical case and also an environmental case for Pakistan. So that's why the context of the EV for Pakistan is better suited. Oil consumption patterns, if you can see the sectors that GHG emissions in Pakistan, the transport sector is emitting 24%, as it's on the second number after the industries and manufacturing. And if we see the sectoral share of oil consumption, the oil consumption of transport sector is 79.29%. So this is the methodological approach we have covered through the primary and secondary data and through some qualitative and quantitative analysis for that how 2 and 3 wheelers or the wheelers fleet can be economical in Pakistan. That these were the questions that we need to figure out, and what are the policy incentives and support that we need to expedite that. So the global EV was initially focused on the luxury because it was too much high priced because of the high price of the batteries, and also because it was the luxury cars. So it was not too much adopted by the so many countries, especially when we're talking about the US in 2013. But in China, we can see that there is an exponential rise of EV adoption because of the government policies. We can see that there is an exponential rise because they have, engaged their employees. They have good incentives, tax rebates, and all that. So that's why the market in China has exponentially rise. Or Norway is almost covering 79% of EV fleet as well. So different schemes. If we are talking about the India FAME model was very, a best example. In the case of Pakistan, we can see that how EVs can be incorporated into the transport sector of Pakistan. So the China is covering 60% and Europe is covering 25%. USA is 10% for global EV sales in 2023. So shift beyond cars to e-buses, delivery vans, 2, 3-wheelers and trucks. New battery chemistries like LFP support, urban transit, and commercial use. These are the global EV landscape that we have right now. If we look at the prices of the internal combustion engine and the electric vehicles, we can see from 2019 to 2024, the ICE prices were stable almost from 2019 to 24, just a little bit exponential rise. But when we're talking about the average EV price, it has considerably decreased because of the market adoption, lot of new technologies, lot of new infrastructure into the developed countries. So that's why when there is a supply and demand economics, so that's why the prices are considerably right now low in the global market. So when you have a low prices, that's why you have adoption of EV is much more at a faster level. If we talk about after the global landscape on the Pakistan EV readiness, we have 2 policies in 2019 and 2021. So, 2021, and then we have 2025 policy. But in this report, we haven't covered the 2025 policy, but we are here to figure out any learnings or challenges that could be incorporated into that as well. So EVs in Pakistan are 30 to 60% more expensive than ICE. If you look into the table, you can see there are different segment of cars: compact segment, mid-range sedan, SUV, mid-range SUV, and luxury segment. So we are comparing the price of ICE vehicle in Pakistan and EV vehicle. So when we are comparing the two prices among ICE and EV, you can see that there is a 20 to 30% EV is more expensive than ICE. And it's similar with the mid-range, it's 41% more expensive. Compact SUV is 64% more expensive, and mid-range is 63%, and luxury SUV is 30%. So because of the high prices of EV as compared to the ICE, the adoption of EVs for every part of the country, or every consumer from middle income to low income is low, because until or unless we don't have an economical or a business case for that, we cannot adopt that because of the paying capacity of the consumer. So that's the one aspect of the 4-wheelers that we have figured out. Secondly, if we're talking about the 2-wheelers price, so CD70 price is here, fuel price is 128,000, and if we can see that the EV bike as compared to the ICE bike is 16% more expensive. So it's not a much difference, you know, it's a 16% expensive. So it's an economical for a consumer to buy that. But for the four-wheelers, it's very difficult because the price difference is 30 to 60% in range, more higher than the ICE. So some of the battery swapping and scalable charging solutions are batteries are 40 to 50% of EV cost. Major obstacle for the low income users. One of the aspect is that. Secondly, the swapping allows pay per use leasing model. So also the upfront cost is very high. Secondly, the swap stations and one of the thing we have figured out is that the charging or range anxiety. So there is not a lot of infrastructure on the EV infrastructure, but right now the government have, or NICA also have a mandate that they will have 3,000 charging stations by 2030. So I think the government has a niche on that and also working on that as well. So that problem may be figured out by if the private sector would come in and invest. So that would be a positive. And also we can look into the emerging models, like we can learn from the China, from the India, from the FAME model, from the VAT model, that how they worked on their EV expedition, how the people adopted that. And we if there is no government support from the policies, from the incentives, until or unless then the local manufacturers or the consumers cannot adopt that. It's similar to egg and chicken situation, that consumers want to buy a low economical car, and the manufacturers want incentives to start the business. So there is a cycle that needs to be addressed through government schemes or proper incentives. And yeah, these were the battery swapping scalable charging solutions that we have covered. And for the next part on the financing, what are the financing models that could be adopted in the case of Pakistan, and also how the case of distributed generation could be addressed in the case of EV fleet in Pakistan, and also how we can utilize the indigenous resources if we are talking about the batteries, because the lithium battery is much more expensive, and also the value chain and all that. So these are the three aspects that would be by my colleague Sarim Zia. Yes, Sarim, please. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming today. So I will be covering the financial aspect and the phasing out roadmap of the EVs. So the one thing we have studied is in the global case studies that EV adoption is the market driven. You cannot force the adoption. You cannot force the targets. It's always the market driven. When the consumer has the EV landscape and all increments and demand response, so they will shift towards the EVs. The second thing we expect is that the comparative advantages. When we see the initial prices of the EVs in the 2019, there's a lot of gap between ICE and the electric vehicle price. And with the more players in the market, in the 2024, the gap is low. So there's a comparative advantage sort of mechanism that leads to the EVs. Second is the changing consumer preferences related to the cost. So the consumer are now more aware related to the EVs price and the EVs savings from the EVs. So there's an economic case for that. These aspects, these factors shift the consumer from ICE to EV in the global context. So we need these sort of for the Pakistan as well. And they cannot be done without the financing. As we know, the high upfront cost the EV, and there is a lack of consumer financing, and we do not have a financing ecosystem as such for the EV. So if we not cover these elements, then we cannot adopt the EV. And the models that are globally accessible, globally working in the financing models for the EVs are the Green Climate Alignment Funds, the FinTech and inclusive lending models, the India's FAME scheme that shows the consumer switching towards the EVs. They give incentive, particularly the 2 and 3 wheelers, and making a bankable case with the subsidies or other financing, you can make the EVs more economical. And the other aspect is the consumer has concerns about the charging infrastructure. So we need the options that can consumer explore regarding the charging infrastructure. So the public-private partnership is one model that globally the countries are using. Then there's the urban charging stations integration spaces, particularly in the EU. And we have a battery swapping stations in the China. There's a lot of adoption due to this in the particularly in 2 and 3 wheelers. And in the EU, South Korea and China, this government makes up centralized battery charging stations or charging hubs. Then also we have studied the electric public transport, that not only the cars, not only the bikes, the mass transit can also be shift towards the EVs. We've seen there's a high upfront cost in this case as well. The bus cost around $143,000, the electric bus cost. That is around 23% more expensive than the normal bus. But the fuel efficiency, this is around, you can save around 70% of the cost in the terms of fuel and other operational charges. So this is the mass transit can also be shifted towards the EVs. But the issue with Pakistan is the infrastructure of the charging station. We do not have as much fast charge. The bus needs a very fast charger, around 240 kilowatt charger to charge. So this is the issue in the Pakistan, the challenge we are facing in this. Then this can be solved through the distributed generation and smart charging infrastructure. So as we know, we have a grid that is more on a fossil fuel based or coal based. So we need to go towards the distributed generation. This is the cost effective as well. I will show the analysis in the next slides. And also you are not dependent fully on the grid. Maybe the grid is not as much reliable. There's a load management issues. So you can easily cater that issues as well. So you can use the wind and both solar in the distributed generation. These are the models that we have covered, the scenarios. The scenario one is that we just covered the grid-based charging. That capital cost is around 3 million, including the charging and other operational expenses. And you have estimated revenue of around 7.4 million rupee per year. And over the 25 year, that is around 185 million. In the model 2, we have covered the solar only charging. The charger is connected to the solar and it works only in daytime. So the initial capital cost is around 4.8 million per station. The estimated revenue is around 10 million per year, the more than the model 1. And over the 25 years, you can get around revenue of 250 million. And in the model 3 is the best case. The model 3 is the solar and the battery storage. The capital cost is high in this case, but the revenue is more as well. So the capital cost is around 8.5 million per station. This will work 24/7 as we have a battery storage as well. And the revenue per year is around 13.6 to 21.6 million, depending upon the demand of the charging station. And the estimated revenue over the years, 25 years, is around 340 to 541. This is much more than the Model 1 and Model 2. So there's an easy bankable case and a business case for the Model 3. There's a maximum reliability. You are not dependent on the grid. 24/7 charging facility is available. And also where there is no much grid connection or other issues, you can use the Model 3 as well. And also there's a renewable energy integration is this net zero carbon, all this clean mobility. So alignment with the NDCs as well. So these are some policy recommendations that we have covered. There's the need of large scaling of the charging infrastructure. Without this, the consumer are not shifting. The other is we need to expand the EV financing, the affordable financing, the low interest rate loans than the ICE. You have to make a comparative advantage of the EVs. Then you have to strengthen the domestic infrastructure and domestic manufacturer. So if we have a local assembly, the cost will be reduced. So we have an advantage in this as well. And also we need a coordination between the provincial and the federal governments. So the way forward is we have these are that we have to make an EV affordable. With this, we can save around $2 billion per year in oil imports, avoid 53 million tons of carbon emissions annually, and EVs are not the future in the world, they are the reality. So this is the overall ecosystem that is involved in the EVs. So the consumer, the assemblers, the financier, chargers, energy providers, all have to be a coordinated and well-integrated policies needed in this regard. So this is all that we have. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ms. Saleh and Sarem. Indeed, insightful. We need to discuss these impacts before we go full force in the EVs ecosystem. Again, it is an ecosystem. We need to take a quantum leap from the traditional transportation side towards this modern mean of transportation. But this will involve developing an entire supply chain. Particularly, we need to also focus more on the circular economic aspect of maybe battery recycling and other components of EV value chain as well. I have one particular view from the standpoint and for the policymakers as well. We need to think about EVs being used as a necessity, even being used as a luxury goods in Pakistan. So we need to find that sweet spot where we sort of incentivize using different instruments for the consumers who use vehicles as a necessity, and for those who are using it as a luxury. Because in Pakistan, as Sarem highlighted, that out of the total transport fleet, around 70 to 80% are two-wheelers and three-wheelers, and the majority of the demand of oil import comes from that sector as well. So we need to sort of cater for that as well. But again, we need to think perhaps like what is the utilization and what is the usage of two-wheelers and three-wheelers in Pakistan's context, because this is different. All over the world, two-wheelers and three-wheelers, they are being utilized in a different context. In Pakistan, we use it for a multi-purposes reasons. For example, दूध वाले ने दूध भी लेके जाना है, हमने पूरी फैमिली को बाइक पे भी बिठाना है. So we need to think on those grounds as well, so that for the consumer, the cost and benefit analysis gets more economical and more sensible. Third thing that Sarem highlighted was what are the national grids dimension, how we are going to charge our EV fleet, whether we are going to utilize more or fossil fuel based power plants. And then if you want to calculate the carbon credits associated with the EV infrastructure and EV usage, maybe that might not be possible if you're powering EV with the fossil fuels. So discussing these aspects, I would like to initiate the panel discussion. I'll invite our experts, Mr. Salman Shaheen, the CTO of National Energy and Transport Corporation. Sir, thank you so much. If you could join us on the stage. Mr. Ehsan Abbas from NECA. I would also like to invite myself as well, Dr. Khalid Waleed, a research fellow. Yeah, thank you so much. And yes, last but not the least, Mr. Hamad Saab, who is representing PFAN, and our moderator, Ms. Saleha Qureshi as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. I think we will shortly be joined by Dr. Abid Suleri. But before that, we have a panel discussion. Thank you, sir, for joining us on the stage. And we have presented some of the key findings of the study as well. So first, the question is any key inputs from your side that how this the four-wheeler models can be scalable in the context of Pakistan. So I'll start with Shaheen Saab, if you could shed light on that. Yeah. please.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Salman Shaheen. I'm the CTO of the National Energy and Transport Corporation. Thank you, STPI. Thank you, Nika, for inviting us today. And it's a privilege to be speaking out here. And just a brief introduction about the organization, what we are doing basically. We have been mandated by the ministry about the energy and transport sector projects. So last year, we launched this EV, the first EV managed project in Pakistan that is being launched in Islamabad. And you've seen the aqua green buses roaming around the city. So this is our first EV project. And previously, we actually launched 340 buses in Karachi. And afterwards, we launched 50 EV buses in Karachi also. So the more are coming, along with the double-decker buses for tourism development. So we are basically providing the complete ecosystem of the EV mass transits in Pakistan. So, and definitely, during our launching and the whole process, we have faced a lot of challenges. And we have highlighted these challenges to different authorities and the NICA and EDB also. So I just want to highlight the few of them. Basically, what we are facing during the operations is the EV chargers we have placed. These are the high and the fast chargers. So high capacity chargers. For this, we need high capacity from the grid. Obviously, our grid structure is not good enough to manage this EV ecosystem. As Dr. Khalid highlighted, this is basically based on the fossil fuel. So it's not gonna work for the EV ecosystem in the longer run. So what we need is basically we need the proper load balancing from the grid end. So I just want to highlight a few of them. The current issues we're facing is from the grid are basically the harmonic changes from the grid, phase imbalances, low voltages during the peak hours. So we highlighted these cases to the authorities and the ISCOs and then the SASCO. But there is no particular solution or no, you can say, they're still not resolving this issue. And let us, we have to charge the buses in the off-peak hours. So during the peak hours, we have to manage the buses operations by ourselves, and it's very unfortunate. So coming if we talk about the future, we are also working on the EV infrastructure, EV chargers infrastructure in Pakistan. As STPI highlighted, the 3,000 EV chargers to be placed by 2030, I think, as I'm true. So in that way, we are focusing on placing 1,000 EV charger stations all over Pakistan, starting from the metro cities like Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Lahore, and Karachi. So we are in discussion with the different authorities and the local transport ministries. And we are also working with our Chinese OEM partners, and we are in a discussion with them to have the local assembly plant here in Pakistan. Obviously, the first we will import maybe 150 or 200 CBU units from China, but moving forward, we have to place something for the economy of scales, obviously. So we are planning to put the assembly plant here in Pakistan, and for that reason, we have already registered with the STZA, so that the cost can be decreased for the commercial usage of this. So we are also in a plan to build the local assembly plant for the lithium-ion LFP batteries and lithium-ion phosphate batteries. And obviously, the sodium-based batteries will also be coming for the cheaper versions. So the plans are there, but the point is we request our authorities, NICA, EDB, and all the discos to collaborate together to make the unified policy for the the investors, for the assemblers here in Pakistan, and for also the operators. So we want to create some kind of like ecosystem in Pakistan, the complete ecosystem of the transport, which Dr. Khalid has highlighted. So to get the carbon credits will come when you create, you generate this electricity, not from the fossil fuels, but from the green energy, like wind energy, like solar energy. So obviously, we cannot put the charger and put the, solar panels in that particular area, because, for 180 to 200 kilowatt charger, you need a 250 kilowatt solar panel charge stations. So for that reason, you don't have that much space in particular areas. So for that reason, the grids, the discos have to come forward and, to build these green energies by using the wheeling concepts, using your rural areas where where you can put these megawatts plants. But we are ready to work with the authorities. We are ready to sign the MOUs for the betterment of the Pakistan and the betterment of the transport in Pakistan. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salman Saab. And moving on to the next, I would request Hamad Bashir Saab. Hamad Saab, you have at PFAN, you have a model on EV financing. So could you highlight how does this model work and what were the challenges in that? Yeah, over to you. You can.
Thank you very much. First of all, for inviting me and inviting me as a panelist. I must appreciate the efforts of STPI and their team of researchers who always come up with very extensive research reports, very practical, with very pragmatic approaches. So I think a big round of applause for STPI team for always doing wonders in the area of upcoming technologies, in the area of environment, in the area of sustainable energy and related facets. So as told me in my introduction, I was part of the global project, which was very successful project, which is called PFAN, Private Financing Advisory Network. Now, PFAN is not an organization, it is a network that is working in 50 countries around the world. And one of the focus area of the PFAN was the EV adoption and financing for EV. The other areas were clean energy and circular economy also. So the rationale of PFAN was what? It was established in 2008, and the rationale was that the clean energy projects, the EV and related projects, they're very good for environment, but somehow they are not attracting investment from banks, from financial institutions, from other investors. So on the one side, there's a project, on the other side, there is a financial institution, and there's a gap in between. And what is the gap? The gap is lack of transaction advisory, the lack of feasibility study. So PFAN has a simple model. PFAN sponsors the cost of documentation, cost of transaction advisory, makes project investable, and then raise financing for them. We do not give grants directly to the project. So this model worked very well. And this project was launched in Pakistan also. And I was part of the team and spearheading the SME activity of the PFAN project in Pakistan. We followed the same model that upcoming projects at initial level, at maturity level, every level of EV, if they need financing, they would come to us. We have a pool of finance experts who work with them, advise them on all the process of transaction advisory, and will make them bankable, and then raise financing for them from financial institutions, from DFIs, from institutional investors, from individual investors, from VC fund, or any type of financial institution, or it can be debt, it can be equity, it can be combination, it can be VC funding, any kind of financing, as long it is acceptable to the EV player. So we worked with all the major EV players of Pakistan. In Islamabad, we worked with Easy Bike. You must have seen the red bikes. We in Lahore, we worked with Zip Technologies. Zip Technologies, they raised funding also through different VC funds. So we helped them locked in documentation, because VC funds and other financial institutions, they will look at from every angle, including financing, obviously, and return on financing. In Karachi, we came up with, we worked with the Mode Mobility. Mode Mobility, when they applied to our project, it was startups. It was startup, and it was early stage startup at an idea stage. We supported them, and now last year, in a just matter of 2.5 years, their factory is up and it's running and it's in production. I was very delighted to see that any idea, anything that came up with an idea, just an idea, now it's a full-fledged factory running and producing e-bikes. So, and also like the focus of the PFAN project, and just like your very extensive ecosystem report also mentioned that it's not just EV two-wheeler, three-wheeler, it's the whole value chain. So an ecosystem obviously includes all the value chain players. So we supported all the value chain players of the EV transition. That includes charging station, that includes battery, that includes battery swapping, that includes even a fintech app that controls the EV system in one way or other. So this model solved one of the major problems, that is access to finance for EV and other sectors, for emerging sectors. Regarding your ecosystem report, I must appreciate your efforts. And also I would like to suggest that when we say players, that players should also, this is an emerging technology. This is an upcoming field, and this would be a huge business area. So, and we need innovative ideas for that EV transition. So I would also like my small suggestion would be, when you say the players at the last slide, it should also mention startups. Startups with innovative ideas related to any aspect of the EV transition. And another suggestion, which I would like to give to your esteemed team, was, since I worked for more than 11 years with United Nations, one thing that was inculcated during my tenure with the United Nations was we look at everything from gender point of view. I've not seen your report in detail, but there should be a gender dimension to the EV system. Because when we have seen this thing, that this is a huge, transportation is a huge issue for women folk in Pakistan. All of you, and you have done research on this topic also. And many of the women, they could not get education because lack of transport. They could not get good jobs because of lack of transportation, lack of the boys. They can always have a bikes and or maybe hitchhiking or whatever. But girls, this is a huge problem. So your research should have an angle of gender mainstreaming. कि किस तरह आपने इंश्योर करना है कि ख्वातीन की मैक्सिमम पार्टिसिपेशन हो इस ईवी ट्रांजिशन में. तो इसमें और इस जो ईवी का एक फील्ड है, इसमें एक सिनफी मसावात को किस तरह आप बरकरार रखें, ये आपके मेरी एक दिस इज अ सजेशन फ्रॉम माय साइड that should be part of it. Thank you.
Ji, thank you, Hamad Saab, and very well noted points, especially on the gender dimensions as well. I think my next study इसी पे होगी, because we have a gender expert as well at STPI. So हमारा aspect यही था, but initially जो हमने what we started this study वो यही था कि EV is as a necessity or EV as a luxury. तो पहले हमने इस पॉइंट को एड्रेस करना था कि अभी तक पाकिस्तान की फ्लीट में ये कॉन्सेप्ट है कि ईवी इज एज अ लग्जरी ट्रीट किया जाता है, बिकॉज वी डोंट हैव सो मच इकोनॉमिकल ऑप्शंस टू बाय ईवी, बट राइट नाउ सो मेनी प्लेयर्स आर देयर जो दे हैव सो मच इकोनॉमिकल मॉडल हैं जिनके पास जो ईवी की अब डिफरेंट कार्स फ्लीट्स आ रही हैं, डिफरेंट अभी डिफरेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर कंपनीज हैं जिन्होंने यहाँ पे प्लांट्स को किया है और काफ़ी ज़्यादा अब उस पर काम हो रहा है। तो और नेक्स्ट स्टेप तो यही है, बट इनिशियली यही था कि जब व्हेन द 2025 पॉलिसी वाज लॉन्च और वी वर वर्किंग कंसल्टेशन विद ईडीबी, तो उसमें भी हमने यही पॉइंट रेज किया था कि सपोज व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द राइड हेलिंग, तो राइड हेलिंग में स्पेशली अगर बात की जाए टू व्हीलर्स के लिए, तो इफ़ यू टॉक अबाउट द मैन, तो दैट दे हैव अ फीजिबल ऑप्शन, 50 रुपीज़ 100 रुपीज़ में ट्रैवल कर लेते हैं, बट एक लड़की को 400-500 रुपये की गाड़ी करा के फिर ट्रैवल करना पड़ता है। तो इकोनॉमिकल केस तो औरत के लिए बनता ही नहीं है पाकिस्तान में, स्पेशली इस्लामाबाद जो कि कैपिटल है पाकिस्तान का, इस्लामाबाद रावलपिंडी की बात की जाए, वी कैन नॉट राइड ऑन टू व्हीलर्स। मतलब अब स्टार्ट हो गया है, देयर इज़ अ कॉन्सेप्ट, बट एक ज़्यादा फ्लीट उस पर काम नहीं करी। बट आई वुड सजेस्ट अगर इन्वेस्टर्स हैं या कोई इस तरह की है स्कीम्स, तो उसमें स्पेशली वुमेन टारगेटेड स्कीम्स होनी चाहिए, स्पेशली जिस तरह पंजाब की स्कीम्स हैं, पंजाब गवर्नमेंट की आई हैं, फेडरल गवर्नमेंट की, उनको स्पेशली टारगेटेड स्कीम्स फॉर द वुमेन्स लॉन्च करनी चाहिए, ताकि उनके लिए भी एक इकोनॉमिकल केस बन सके। सिर्फ मर्दों के लिए ना बने, औरतों के लिए भी बन जाए इकोनॉमिकल केस। So hopefully our next study and our findings would be on that as well. Thank you so much. Moving on, जिस तरह बात की गई, शाहीन साहब ने भी बात की, आपने भी बात की कि कैसे लोकल मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को इनकरेज किया जाए। सो देयर इज़ अ कॉन्सेप्ट कि जिधर आप बात करते हैं कि इंडिजिनस रिसोर्सेज को यूटिलाइज किया जाए, बिकॉज हम जब बात करते हैं ईवीज़ की, द लिथियम आयन बैटरी इज़ मच मोर एक्सपेंसिव, दैट्स वाई कार की जो प्राइस है वो बहुत ज़्यादा इंक्रीज हो जाती है। तो इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ पाकिस्तान हम देखना चाहेंगे कि क्या ऐसे इंडिजिनस रिसोर्सेज हैं जिनको यूटिलाइज किया जा सकता है उस वैल्यू चेन में ला के, ताकि एक इकोनॉमिकल ईवी मॉडल डेवलप किया जा सकता है, या कोई भी इकोनॉमिकल ईवी इंडस्ट्री डेवलप की जा सकती है। तो आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट डॉक्टर खालिद वलीद को कि ही वुड प्लीज शेड लाइट ऑन दैट, कि इफ यू हैव एनी इनसाइट्स ऑन दैट। यस, थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, Saleha. First of all, I would echo the words of Hamad Saab. Bilkul, sir, aspect of gender or how we can have inclusive energy transition using EV, वो चीज़ जो है वो होनी चाहिए। और शायद फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स भी उस तरह से डेवलप हों। इट इज़ वेरी हार्टनिंग टू सी कि आजकल जो फीमेल हैं वो बाइक चला रही होती हैं, पर्टिकुलरली मैं चूंकि एक रूरल बैकग्राउंड से हूँ, आई कैन सी इन माय विलेज एज वेल कि काफ़ी सारी फीमेल जो हैं वो दे आर राइडिंग द बाइक्स एज वेल। सो शायद अगर इस तरह की कोई एक फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट और स्कीम्स आती हैं, आई थिंक वी कैन क्रिएट दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ बैलेंस, जो कि आपने कहा कि विच लीड्स टू एजुकेशनल लॉसेज, और आपका वो दूसरा जो सोशल इनइक्वालिटी है, दैट शुड बी केटर्ड एज वेल। सालिया, वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन ऑन developing an indigenous resource. This is a transition, and transition opens up ideas, open up markets, particularly for a developing country. It can generate more revenues, and it can, I would say, sort of circulate the cash transactions into the economy in more inclusive way. Particularly if you see that you need to develop indigenous resources, not just for the capital intensity, or you keeping the capital side of it, physical capital side of it, but you need to develop the human resource as well, particularly जो आपके mechanics हैं, आपके technicians हैं, that sort of transition is still Pakistan requires, and we need green skills, we need reskilling of the labor, particularly the technicians or mechanics जो आपके involved हैं इस sector में, that transition is very important as well. Second thing on physical capital side, maybe the aspect of battery would be very important, particularly when you see कि battery की prices are still very high, and जो आपको rare earth mining चाहिए, that is critical as well, and आपको import करना पड़ा होगा। लेकिन after you imported, आपके पास एक EV infrastructure develop हो जाता है, you can develop a circular economy around it, and then you can indigenize that recycling market as well, because in batteries, the components, the materials, the elements, they are 100% recyclable. So Pakistan ke paas raw material would be here. So what we need to do is we need to develop that circular economy, and then we need to link it with the market indigenization practices as well. Third thing that I see potential is we need to utilize and we need to leverage on China's problem. Right now, the China's problem is that they have capacity, particularly for EVs and solar panel manufacturing. And then they have a problem of expensive labor as well. What Pakistan can provide and sort of transitioning from CPEC 1 to CPEC 2.0, Pakistan can provide solution to both these problems to China in terms of relocation of Chinese manufacturing industries to Pakistan's special economic zones, where we can indigenize the process of and ecosystem of EV manufacturing in Pakistan. And then maybe someday we can look it from the perspective of exporting EVs to other countries as well, because China is facing this problem of increased tariff from EU and other Western countries as well. So maybe that value chain can also be developed. Another resource that comes in mind when you talk about indigenization that might not directly related with EVs right now, and those are sodium-ion batteries. The problem with sodium-ion batteries is that they have less density. They cannot be used as a rapid energy releasing resource. So they are not as much as compatible for EVs, but they are compatible for long-term grid storage. So maybe if there is a distributed generation linked with EV infrastructure, charging infrastructure, maybe sodium-ion batteries can provide the grid-level storage facilities, particularly when you talk about in terms of greening the national arteries, motorways, and highways, because you can clearly see if you go to M2, you can clearly see there is a vast land available to install different distributed generation systems. And if we install it with the grid-level storage systems, maybe we can solve that problem, the dilemma that Salman Saab was alluding to, that if the principle of clean energy is not being followed, what is the utility of getting EVs? Third thing, again, on the carbon market side, carbon markets can provide a good financial instrument. We need to indigenize that process as well. Again, indigenization, we think it in a very literal sort of a way, very physical sort of a way, that we need to build resources in an indigenous way. But indigenization of knowledge, indigenization of financial practices, indigenization of financial ecosystem and instruments, they are also very important, and they go hand in hand and they go parallel in a way. Fourth thing that we need to think about the indigenization, I think indigenization plus the liberalization of power sector market, that would be very important as well. In terms of CTBCM, Pakistan's power sector market is being liberalized. So maybe we need to think on those grounds as well, that how we can develop independent resources, how we can develop the B2B transactions and B2B agreement in terms of power wheeling. Right now, we see that some consensus have been developed on wheeling charges and use of system charges, but still they are on the higher side. So if we want to develop an integrated EV market, we need to look into all the aspects, particularly pertaining to financial side of it, the climate side of it, the credit side of it, and then what would be the dimensions of market, electricity market as well. And lastly, Pakistan is again using EV as a potential solution for Pakistan's electricity capacity trap. Again, we need to think on the grounds that are we going to charge our EVs based on coal power or fossil fuel based power? So maybe an integrated solution of early retirement of fossil fuel based power plants and repurposing those power plants with renewable energy and then linking it with the EV network, that might be a way forward. So in those grounds, I think we need to have a holistic indigenization policy in which climate change, energy ministry, the EV side of it, and then the community aspect, and Hamad Saab rightly told the gender aspect, we need to indigenize in terms of physical capital as well as the knowledge part of it. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Khalid. Very rightly highlighted the utilization of indigenous resources in terms of EV, and especially when we're talking about the Pakistan context, we need to look into the indigenous resources, especially when we're talking about the sodium-ion batteries as well. Moving forward, we have Syed Ehsan Abbas, who is the Director Electrical NECA. Sir, you have recently launched the guidelines for the EVs charging stations. And also you have a win-win situation that you have a very low tariff rate on that as well. So how do you see for over the period of time from the guidelines launched that what are the investors' challenges in that, or investors' confidence on that? What are the challenges you oversee that it can be improved or overlooked, and what are the other things that you need to be added into that? Yes, over to you.
First of all, thank you very much for arranging this great show regarding the EVs. Yes, previously we were thinking like EVs is a dream, but now EVs is a future. And currently we can clearly see that on the daily roads, I belong to Lahore, in the very affluent area. In Lahore, I see after every 5 to 6 cars, I see 2 to 3 BYDs. So now you can see the people are getting trust in the EVs. Moving back, yes, it's a very great step by the government. Previously, there was no regulation regarding the EV charging infrastructure. So now the government is very serious, especially the Prime Minister. A very great thank to Prime Minister. Fortunately, NECA takes the hold of EV regulations, and we got the EV regulations and battery swapping station regulation approved last year in October. And consequently, in continuation that regulations, NEPRA has already approved a concessional rationalization of the electricity power tariff for the establishment of EV charging station. So these are the lucrative or the incentives that government is already supporting the EVs, because this is a blockchain, it's the whole ecosystem. Because people were like previously saying like, if we owns an EV, there is no EV infrastructure. So it's a chicken and egg problem. Samely, the EV investor who someone wants to invest in the EV charging infrastructure, he again thinks, if I invest in EV charging infrastructure, where the people go, and I can't see a ROI on my investment. So it's again building a trust, either on the consumer side, either on the investor side. So the government is now taking a very stringent actions as per the new energy vehicle policy. You can see as well, the government has already approved the EVCI and BS regulations, the concessional tariff, and there is also no import duties on the import of EV charging stations. Then again, NECA holds the mandate for the establishment of EV charging stations. We have a one window facility. We are right now holds the mandate of giving the NOCs to anyone who wants to establish the EV charging station. And within the 15 days short time notice, we are actually having a one window facility, and we are in a close coordination with all the land development authorities, the power distribution companies, and the investors, and NECA as well. So it's a one window facility just to ease of doing business and to build the trust of the investor. So currently, earlier before the EVCI regulations, it's not documented, but undocumented, there are around like 25 to 26 unregistered charging stations. They were actually operating in Pakistan from last 2 to 3 years, but there is no documented data. When we approached them after the approval of the EVCI regulations, and when we approached them and told them that the government is very serious, so if you get registered with NECA, you now eligible for having a concessional power tariff that is approved by the Prime Minister under the NEPRA rule. So the people got engaged with NECA, and within the 6 to 7 months, we actually got overwhelmed by the investor. So currently at moment, you may say that on our NECA portal, there are around 39 to 3,800 interested who actually paid interest by visiting the NECA website and on the application portal of EVCI regulations. Apart from that, we have already given the grant and the NOCs to 72 interested parties who actually got registered on NECA website. So within this very short notice, at moment, if we say that 72 the new registration parties, and you say that like 20 to 25 around like unregistered. So at moment in Pakistan, there are around 100 plus EV charging stations within the 6 to 7 months short time. And we look forward and we see like this number is going to up like 2 to 3 times. Maybe we can see that around 400 to 500 by end of this year. Because many stakeholders like very big giant companies, PSO, BYD, Atak Petroleum, ADM Group, and some other companies. They are interested in many huge investments, even NETC as well, with the collaboration of CDA and some other companies. So we are actually targeting this huge number. The other side of this as well, like government is Ministry of Power is again and again saying that we have a surplus power, but there are no consumers with the inclusion of solar energy. So when the more EV charging station comes into the market, the government is now going to incentivize the EV regulation and in EV tariff. So this is how our surplus energy is going to reutilize by EVs. By this whole blockchain, our dependency on the fossil fuels becomes lessened, either on the four-wheeler, two-wheeler, and three-wheeler, and ultimately this will help in reducing our carbon emissions as well. So it's the whole blockchain. The other part as well, like the battery swapping station, the government is also helping the two-wheelers and three-wheelers by encouraging them the battery swapping stations. We have a very good dialogue with the easy bikes and especially the Zip Technologies. They are also interested in developing some battery swapping stations with some ride-hailing service and some courier service. So yes, the people are very taking interest in the EVs and the EV ecosystem, and NICA is here to support them and build the trust of the investors from the government side.
Yes, thank you so much for highlighting the NICA's role. Thank you. And one last question from the all the panelists. Like any recommendation on public-private models on the EV infrastructure, whether we're talking about the EVs, CKD, CBU unit, or charging infrastructure, any models that you can recommend or proposed? Yes, starting from the Shaheen Saab, if you have any.
As I highlighted, that we are going to start the local assembly plant of the EV charging stations. So we would like to NICA, EDB, and the DISCOs to come up, because we're going to install these chargers all over the Pakistan. And we are currently in a discussion with the federal government, the provincial governments also. So the main the issue is basically the ground and grid availability, the grid power availability, and the stable power availability. Right now, in our charging stations, in the depot sites in Islamabad and even in the Karachi, we're facing the low voltages from the grid side because of the high power usage, high electricity usages. So during the peak hours, we are facing the low voltages. So we have highlighted these things to the DISCOs, but they are still unable to resolve these issues. So unfortunately, we have to face the operational issues for our buses, and then we'll have to manage it somehow or the other. So what we need is we request NICA and the EDB to come up with the standardized the EV chargers in Pakistan, especially when we talk about the EV cars charging in ports like CCS2, and some are coming from the GPT standards. So come up with the standardized models so that we should have the unified model all over Pakistan. Secondly, I think we request NICA to have some strict or it's a comprehensive policy with the DISCOs, because the load shedding issue is still there. If I place a charger at the Bera interchange on the motorways, there's a load shedding of the 8 hours in 24 hours there. So, you need to manage that through the battery system, but the battery system is very expensive for that. So that is the main issue the challenges we are facing right now. So we'll start with the metro cities, obviously from Lahore, Islamabad, and Rawalpindi. But the DISCOs has to come up with the proper solutions with the low voltages and the harmonics changes and the voltage imbalances in between. Especially the consumer, the terminal sites, which are actually at the end of the feeder. Because we are facing the H9 depot, we are facing a lot of low voltages issue, because they said you are at the end of the feeder, and the whole industry is consuming the electricity. So that's why you are getting the low voltages. So these are the challenges we are facing right now. So I think at some forum you can discuss it with the discos to resolve such painful issues. Thank you.
I would like just to add on your comment. Yes, this is going to be a next challenge regarding the grid stability and the smoothness of the electric power as well. Because EV charging stations, they are actually current drawing equipment. They draw the current when you start charging. And again, you are making sure that this EV charging is not going to hazardous or impact the national grid as well. So NICA, with the help of Ministry of Power, is going to conduct a comprehensive electricity analysis program within very short time, hopefully. So this whole study program is going to assess the national grid stability regarding the impact of the EV charging inclusion. If what will happen if we add 1,000 EV charging stations in the major urban cities and the urban dense electricity consuming areas, especially in the industrial zone. So yes, our transformers and our distribution system is obsolete, especially with the transmission line as well. So we need to enforce and make sure that this EV charging stations is not going to harm the grid. Otherwise, the grid is not going to harm the EVs and the EV charging system as well. So the EVCI regulation has all these standards in their book as well, in compliance to the international standards like IEC, GBT, and other international standards. So NICA holds the mandate at overall. We are going to consider all these factors, and we already have these things in mind. Thank you.
Coming to your question on financing, just like I earlier mentioned, we need to support startups with innovative ideas on one side. On the other side, we also need to have innovative financing instruments. Like this is a new upcoming field, so there would be a huge demand. And in your study, you also mentioned that there's still a cost difference. So schemes like viability gap funding, VGF, through international organizations, credit guarantee schemes for the early stage companies, if they want to adopt some financing from banks, it is very difficult for them to get loans from the banks because of collateral. So credit guarantee schemes and these kind of financing instruments, these are the ones that could solve the problem of access to finance for early stage, for developed companies, and also for those who want to expand. जिस तरह आपने स्टडी में भी कहा कि ये वेरी राइटली पॉइंटेड आउट कि ये मार्केट ड्रिवन है. तो मार्केट ड्रिवन अगर हमने पिछला भी देखें तो सोलर एक ज़माने में बहुत महंगा था, उसकी एडॉप्शन में बहुत मुश्किलात पेश आई थी. लोगों को गवर्नमेंट बड़ा जोर लगाती थी कि सोलर आप खरीदें. अब इतने ज़्यादा खरीद रहे हैं, गवर्नमेंट एक तरह से डिस्करेज कर रही है. तो उसमें इसके नीचे अगेन उसमें भी एक्सेस टू फाइनेंस है, क्योंकि आहिस्ता आहिस्ता उसको हमें एडॉप्शन की तरफ जाना है और हमें शुरू में फाइनेंसेस चाहिए, ह्यूज फाइनेंसेस. तो अर्ली एडॉप्टर्स जो हैं उनको अडॉप्ट करने के लिए कुछ गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को सपोर्ट करना होगा, जिसमें मैं अप्रिशिएट करूंगा कि नीका को, कि मैं इस हॉल में देख रहा था कि आपका जो एयर कंडीशनिंग सिस्टम है, ये हमने एक स्टार्टअप को सपोर्ट किया था जो जियो थर्मल. इज इट सो सर? तो ये जो एयर कंडीशनिंग सिस्टम है जिसमें आप देख रहे हैं, ये टोटली एक नई टेक्नोलॉजी है जो जियो अर्थ साइंसेस से जो उस पे बेस्ड है. तो इस किस्म के हमें एक्टिविटीज़ को सपोर्ट करना चाहिए कि आप जैसे इदारे जो ऑलरेडी कर रहे हैं इसको मजीद इसको सपोर्ट करें, इस तरह ईवीज़ को भी सपोर्ट करें ताकि उनकी मार्केट को हम एक बूस्ट दे सकें. तो दिस इज माय सजेशन. शुक्रिया.
Very quickly to brief policy recommendations. One on the circular economy side of it, that market needs to be developed, particularly keeping in from the perspective of critical minerals mining. Lithium expensive भी है, उसकी mining मुश्किल भी है, और import burden भी जो है वो आता है. So if there is a circular economy of it, शायद that will again complement the indigenization of this manufacturing process as well, particularly when we are transforming from CPEC 1 to CPEC 2.0, and that will solve China's problem of surplus capacity as well as expensive labor as well. So utilize our special economic zones, relocate Chinese manufacturing power to Pakistan, and then indigenize not only the physical capital, but also the human resources that we would be needing, that I think would be the way forward for Pakistan's EV manufacturing and the whole ecosystem. Back to you.
Thank you so much. I think huge round of applause for the panelists. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, panelists, for this insightful discussion. We are coming at the close of our event. In this event, we discussed almost all the aspects of the ecosystem of EV in Pakistan, particularly from a standpoint that EV as a necessity or the EV as luxury. I'll invite Managing Director, National Energy Efficiency and Conservation Authority, Dr. Sardar Mozam Saab, for his address, and then Dr. Abid Qiyum, sir, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, thank you very much, STPI team, for organizing this session. And I think a very extensive work जो आपने इस report में किया. And also it's very timely because अभी ना सिर्फ जो policy है उसके ऊपर काम होके complete हुआ, table भी हुई National Assembly में, और उसके अलावा I think different forums के ऊपर we just reviewed the last draft of the policy और उसके अंदर भी कुछ चीज़ें I think we aligned. I think somehow NECA has this edge कि the regulations for charging stations came earlier compared to the policy one. So we already tested a lot of these things on ground, like how people are responding to it, what kind of questions they have, regulatory side के बहुत सारे challenges जैसे आपने जिक्र किया डिस्कोस के साथ, फिर उसके साथ ये जो हार्मोनिक्स वाले इश्यूज हम वोल्टेज की फ्लक्चुएशन के देख रहे हैं, डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटीज़ आपको कैसे ट्रीट कर रही हैं, डिस्कोस के साथ जो आपको राइट फ्रॉम द कनेक्शन एंड ऑल दीज इश्यूज. सो आई थिंक दैट हैज़ बीन आइडेंटिफाइड एंड एट नेक्स्ट लेवल वी आर ऑल्सो मीन्स इज सरप्राइजिंग दैट वी जस्ट in April we got approval from the Prime Minister for the regulations, but I think we are now in a phase to revise our regulations. So I think we are understanding the challenges which the whole industry is facing, and realizing these challenges, I think we have already started working. Let's revise them and incorporate all these issues, challenges, and make them more simplified, that the ease of doing business is possible, because that's the major challenge we are facing right now. And how to make it more effective. Second, I think there is from the panelists this thing that we need viable gap funding mechanism, viability gap funding wala challenge. I think policy already covers it. And we have already discussed this whole issue when we had discussion with IMF team. Under this whole climate resilience fund, I think we have a dedicated section. P3A, NECA, and Ministry of Industries and Production, you already have some sessions, and I think we have already taken up with that side. So these are just these points. I think if there are some questions, concerns, I think all those people who were involved when we were sort of formulating this policy, these concerns were already taken care of, reflected in the policy document. And once it will be available, you will see all these mentioned in that. And some of these actions are being taken. As of this moment, we are already working. So I think one aspect which it's the whole story when in last 3 years we started working, I think it's a whole story of chicken and egg. And we were analyzing along with our teams, like why we are not picking up. It means the policy comes in 2019. And still we are seeing it's not picking up, just 24, 25 charging stations across the country. Why it's not increasing? What's wrong with it? I think one major aspect that we realized is how we incentivize the market, how we incentivize the people who are putting up the charging stations. And that was, I think, the basic question that in most of the cases, we are seeing that there is no market. So how we can redesign the market? So I think the current minister, Awais Laghari sir, I think I give this credit to him. Because when we were discussing the whole, like the tariff design, how we are going it, and I must appreciate him for this simple thing that we had so many back and forth discussions, heated debates, and a lot of these things. And like I can quote this thing that on one day I was of this opinion that there should be a base tariff, and then there is a cap. Earlier, NAPRA gave this tariff in the previous versions that there was a base tariff and 22 rupees the cap, where these oil marketing companies or whoever puts up the charging station, this is the margin for them to sort of get their OPEX and part of the CAPEX as well. So the question was, it's not picking up. So I think the first day we were having the same discussion, and I was of this opinion that we should have this base tariff, and then we can put some cap on it because that's necessary. And he was of this opinion, no, I think we should have the base tariff, but we shouldn't have any cap on it. It should be market driven. And maybe we had 2 hours discussion, and somehow I was trying to convince this. A lot of debate. Next day we have the same session again. And I realized the next day he said, you convinced me that there should be base tariff and there should be cap on it. But the next day I said, I think I was wrong. You were right. And he said, no, you were right. And I was wrong. I said, no, sir. I thought over it. I read some documents. I reviewed it. And I think you are right. And then we agreed to it. And that's why we decided that there is a base tariff and there is no cap. Means it's a free market. You will decide how much you want to charge the consumer. And I think then the market forces will determine that what will be the fate of the charging station tariff in the future. So I think that's a very simple thing. Like if our leadership is of that mindset, how our decisions or things will pick up. And I think I also want to quote this very important aspect at the next step, that when we were presenting it to the Prime Minister, there was a fear when in this meeting again that maybe Prime Minister will be not, because it will affect the consumer's benefit. So we should not do this. And there was different voices in that room that they pointed out. And when we presented it, Minister Saab especially, to the Prime Minister, I think one thing that Prime Minister took a pause. And at that time, like we were sitting and we were just looking at each other like, what next? And I think if after this brief pause, Prime Minister just thought about it and he said, yes, do it. So I think it's very important, like how we design these policy options and then how the leadership looks into it and they trust us and give us this opportunity, okay, experiment it. So I think this is very important in this thing, that even in this policy document, I've seen like a lot of people involved in it, excellent minds working on this, and credit goes to Ministry of Industries and Production for this outstanding work. We just have a chapter on it. I think I should give them credit for that because they have done some excellent work. And I think one last thing which I really want to highlight here, that with different discussions with the car manufacturers, I think one thing which we are seeing in last couple of weeks, on every month, there are 2, 3, 4 variants coming online. On the weekend, we are receiving these invitations like there is this new launch of Nishat and the new launch of BYD Shark and a lot of these things. I was having discussion with the team from the Tesla, came to us to sort of set up some charging stations in Pakistan as well. And there are some other players, and we were surprised. They mentioned like right after these regulations and this tariff, somewhere around 6,000 to 7,000 new units were sold in the market. So as Ahsan mentioned, like how this is picking up so quickly, We have seen this thing happening in a very short time and then we were getting data from already some of the charging stations. And I can report you this very interesting fact that earlier data showed from some of the charging stations that there were only 6 or 8 cars coming in a day for charging, even in some major areas in Lahore. So now they are profitable. So I think the number of cars and the people's perception is building up, and the kind of the levy we are putting on ICE engine and then using that money to subsidize the EV cars, I think that is one important aspect that will help you. Second, I think we are putting this another condition that all 3% of the charging stations should be imposed on all the oil marketing companies. They should set up. So we added, in addition to this, they have to add a battery swapping station in there as well. So I think you'll see in a very short term, the way we have worked it out or planned, a revolutionary thing. It's just like the same. That's what I believe. Maybe in 3 years' time, it will be same like the CNG stations that we are talking about right now. I mean, earlier we have experienced this in this country that people were on this petrol cars and gasoline fuels, and then they shifted all the way to this CNG stations. I think that will be the next revolution, and it's inevitable. I can see this like we have the direction which we are heading for. It will be very huge, and I think that will definitely help us labor markets, our core inflation, overall even our real estate and overall economy. The way I see it, and I think some of our experts, I think I have already assigned to do some white papers on that. It's the impacts across the economy. The way we see it, I think it's important one, because currently, if average 1 liter gives you 10 kilometers on any ICE engine, it means 1 kilometer costs you 25 rupees average. So with these EVs, it's very simple. We are touching somewhere around 8, 10, 12 rupees. So imagine your trip, the cost reduced in that. And I think that going forward in 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers, the case is more promising. Now, I think important aspect, which is we definitely wanted to address, and I think I have a dedicated team for that one as well, that how we can convert the existing fleet of cars, which is, I mean, they have this fleet retirement age of certain, I mean, you can see the FX, Cultus, Cure, I mean, a lot of these Bulans moving around, and these are like people who can't afford, they are buying them. So what kind of mechanisms should be developed for them? How we are ensure that they are safe? If you are using them, it's safe. How we can ensure that they can be converted to EVs? So I think that's what I'm just giving you a hint that the next step for us to look into that direction, develop the regulatory framework around it. It's not just like one simple thing. And then developing especially the whole financing models around it, like how we can use the leasing models, financing for this, a number of these other aspects. And I think that is one thing I still believe that in the next couple of months, that's the target we have. And I think we'll definitely want to train somewhere around 25,000 to 30,000 people that we can develop it, establish the whole regulatory framework, and I think then roll it out that it's not just someone who can afford more than 7 millions a car. I think people with less than 1 million or 2 million, or somewhere around that, they will be also the ones who can reap the benefit of this new technology. Thank you very much. Thanks to SDPI, Dr. Saab, for joining us today, and all the team members. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for highlighting the importance of integrated planning, the ecosystem of it. And you rightly said we need to develop the retrofitting and the proper standardization and the safety regulations of the retrofitting that would sort of generate the indigenization as well as the circular economy prospects as well. With this, I invite Dr. Abid Qayyum Sulehri. Dr. Abid is Executive Director of Sustainable Development Policy Institute. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Khalid. Let me start by thanking the distinguished panelists for joining us today and Dr. Sardar Muazzam for hosting us today. It's indeed a pleasure to be at NICA and have this study launched at NICA. I think we were the team STPI. I congratulate them in doing this hard work, preparing a reference document and then launching it today. The only permanent thing in this world is change. And 3.5 hours ago, when it was midnight in Washington, D.C., the world trade system has changed to a tariff regime, which were now implemented from 8th of August. And this has its own implications, but then it has some opportunities as well. And one of the opportunities is that the way Western world and North America is trying to restrict the technology, especially renewable technology from China due to these tariffs. China has to find some alternative markets. And these markets would be middle income and lower middle income countries, not the developed countries. So these markets would be in Asia and in Africa. And that's where Pakistan has the opportunity to capitalize upon some of the global changes and to actually adopt what is being restricted in the rest of the world due to the rapid technological advancement in China. And when we talk of it, I'm referring not only to EVs, I'm also referring to batteries, and I'm also referring to chargers, and I'm also referring to new technologies. While we are working on conventional EVs in Pakistan, in China, they are already, they have started working on electric cars that would be charged on real-time basis because they will have the solar panels installed on their roofs. So while they are plying on roads, they will also get charged, so they don't have to go to any charging station. And the way we can adopt it in Pakistan, that's the consumers' preferences and consumer choices. Many of the youngsters, they wouldn't know, but there was a time when diesel engines were very popular in this country. So all the petrol engines were getting replaced by diesel engine because diesel was far cheaper than petrol, and it was purely consumer choice. They wanted to shift to a cheap alternative. Then, as Dr. Muazzam mentioned, there was this CNG revolution, and now it's a solar revolution, irrespective of the fact whether policies they encourage solarization or not. It's the consumer who have to pay the bill. So if they will feel that their utility bills or their fuel charges for transportation, they're becoming expensive and unaffordable, they will try to switch to a cheaper alternative. And that cheaper alternative right now is hybrid and electrical vehicles. So the consumers, they would automatically start adopting it. And just like we saw the prices of solar panels, and even much before that, at one time, satellite antennas were status symbol. And then it was just matter of 4 to 5 years, those satellite antennas, those were everywhere on roadside, on anywhere where PTV was not there, you could find satellite antennas. And the technologists in Pakistan and practitioners in Pakistan, they started replicating it, and they started marketing it. And same I can see the future of EV when I go to the remote villages of Punjab. I can see the local motorcycle mechanics. They are converting the conventional two-stroke or four-stroke motorbikes into electrical motorcycles. So all they are doing, replacing the engines and making, and with the very raw technology, without any qualification, without any technological support. You can find those electrical two-wheelers flying in the towns and in the peripheries in Pakistan. So I'm sure that the ecosystem of EV, which is highlighted and which is mapped by STPI team, that is rapidly changing. It would be consumers, they would automatically adopt it by virtue of their necessity, not that they love greening, or they love green financing, or they love to live in a climate resilient ecosystem. So all these things, they become secondary. The first thing is survival, and that survival depends on livelihood option, and that depends on their purchasing power. And it's a truth that the energy affordability in Pakistan, the conventional energy affordability, that is decreasing. And that's where consumer, without knowing that they're promoting green economy, they will start switching to EVs and other technologies. And in that role of NICA, role of other allied department must be acknowledged and appreciated. Of course, you are the enablers for this change, which would automatically take place, and something which is liked by public and people. I think policies can't resist it, but policies can, with their enabling factor, can make this transition smooth and rapid. And I think instead of resisting the public sentiments, the public policies, they should actually make this transition very smooth, expedited, and this is what going to happen. Thank you very much once again, ladies and gentlemen, for your precious time in joining us today, and for NICA management for hosting us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll request the panelists, Sardar Saab, Dr. Saab, for a group photo and the launch of the report, and then the refreshments are served as well. Yes, there is a QR code. You can scan it and you can download it, the e-copy of it. Keeping the environmental aspects of paper printing, we have printed a limited amount of the report.
Everyone, the refreshments are served. Please feel free to have them. Thank you.